Alright, Durandal. About time, huh? Anyway, after using her in a few game modes, I'm gonna try to relate my impression of her so far. I won't go into too much detail, this is not an overview video, but you'll still get a general idea, if not already, from watching the gameplay. First of all, I'd like to state, in the beta, we are only allowed to go up to 60 FPS, so it might look a little different from what you've been seeing on the channel recently, but you know, it's probably not gonna feel all that different. Also, you know, I'm thinking some of the stuff have to be smoothed out, so you might see a bit of loading here and there. That's totally fine. And another thing for these few stages is that I forgot to turn the damage numbers back on. So if you want to get a general idea of like her damage, we're gonna turn it back on when we get to Q Singularis. It is at 160 disturbance, so you'll get an idea how much damage she's doing. So anyway, yeah, back to Durandal, right? And after I talk about the gameplay, I'm also gonna answer a question that people have been asking a lot, and that's why she is my favorite Valkyrie, even though she hasn't been appearing a lot, and she's only playable, you know, from version 3.8 onwards. So yeah, gameplay-wise, she is, I wouldn't say super strong in some aspects. Like, she's not a boss killer, at least not at the moment, until someone figures out what the team combination is for boss killing. But she does take a while to get her damage going. So she's not like damage right off the bat, like someone who is Dihasha Reason, for example. Dihasha Reason, especially at double S rank or higher, starts off with construction bars, and so she's extremely effective right off the bat. But Durandal is someone who's closer to maybe Argent Knight. Like, Argent Knight is strong, right? But you still have to have a bit of a build-up in the fight, and then you get to like the really strong parts when you can do the hypothermia, and you get your damage boost. So I would compare her slightly to Argent Knight, but of course she is her own Valkyrie. She has unique abilities, and her weapon as well is very unique. It brings what is currently being called technical attacks to the game, which is essentially a grapple move where she stabs the lance into the enemy and slams it on the ground, or, you know, swings it around a little and then throws it somewhere else. So that is really cool. Currently, we can do that in the post-Honkai Odyssey. In the beta, of course, it's not live yet. And they're bringing some of those aspects over here, or should I say they're just simultaneously releasing a grappling move both on the post-Honkai Odyssey and in Honkai Impact 3. That is pretty amazing. So at the start of the video, you would have seen the lineup that I'm bringing in terms of equipment, and of course for Durandal, everything is going to be a question mark, like her icon right now in the game. But of course, I will be adding the stats to the description in the video, so you can go ahead and check the stats for her weapon and her Stigmata set. So as you would expect, the next chapter of the story will be out with version 3.8. We do have access to the stages, but we do not have access to the story, thus me not showing anything from that part of the content. However, Durandal will have her fragments available from that storyline, and there will also be an event, and I so far checked that storyline, and it seems like the event item will come from there. So that's like a new event resource, and you can use that to exchange for the new 5-star lance. There will be a free version of a 5-star lance, and there will be her signature one. So you know, the signature one is definitely going to be a gacha weapon, along with her signature Stigmata. Also in that shop will be fragments for Durandal's A-rank battlesuit, so I'm guessing you'll be able to get her at least close to S rank, if not already S rank, which is really useful. Most of her skills unlock at S rank. Of course, if you want more damage, you're gonna have to get her to, well, double S is okay, but ideally triple S. But given that she's an A-rank Valkyrie, there will definitely be other ways of farming for her fragments. Maybe from open worlds, don't quote me on this one. Otherwise, we'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, there's that. A bit of a digression, but I thought I'd mention how she's going to be introduced into the game, at least from a gameplay standpoint. Now back to her skills. So why I say she takes a while to build up damage is because, well, one of the things is that she does have a passive that increases her total damage multiplier, just like a passive that lasts for 15 seconds, but you'll have to use her ultimate attack. Now, you can try team combinations that start with the Lightning Empress leader, and if you have Lightning Empress at triple S, you start off with 70 SP, but her ultimate does require 100 SP, and so if you want to use that for boss fights, it might not be really practical, although I do see it being really powerful, so if someone figures out a way to charge her SP quickly, she could be a pretty good boss killer. Of course, like all other Valkyries, only on specific bosses, but I'm expecting to see at least one boss strategy, if not more. But aside from that one ability that's locked behind triple S and her ultimate skill having to be used in combat, her innate passive ability does actually offer a lot of damage, but requires a lot of build-up as well. So to really briefly explain it, that unique passive gauge that you see above her HP bar, which is basically what all new Valkyries have, maxes out at 400 points. Now, each time you use a skill that consumes or gains, so it's not just consumption, but if you gain 100 points, which is a quarter of that gauge, you will gain a ferocity stack. Or at least I think that's what it's called from a literal translation. Each stack gains you 6% fire damage and reduces incoming total damage by 5%, up to a maximum of 10 stacks. And it lasts for 20 seconds. Now, it's not explicitly stated whether or not you refresh the duration each time you gain a stack, so for now I'm just gonna assume that you do. And that's a really long duration. For a passive like that, I'm expecting usually maybe 12 to 15 seconds, so 20 seconds is plenty of time, but here's the catch. There are people who are thinking that that might not be properly written at this point in time, so it might actually be indirect fire damage. But even if it is direct fire damage, it seems like 10 stacks, building up 10 stacks in the Immoral Arena might be a little hard, unless maybe you have like a lot of starting SP and you get an invasion off quickly, so you can do that dashing skill, which not only deals damage but also helps you charge up your SP quickly. And how it works is you do an ultimate evasion, and basically after that you fight like Striker Fulminata. If you don't remember who Striker Fulminata is, she is Valkyrie Blade Strike's augmented form, right? So you do an evasion, and halfway through the evasion, you hit attack, and you just dash towards the enemy, so it's the same thing. So with me saying all that, I'm sure you're kind of getting the understanding that she's really strong in the Abyss, and that's almost exactly what I'm saying, except for the fact that I feel she has at least 2 boss kills in her. Now, despite having to build up all the stacks, she does have a QTE that allows her to get 200 points on that gauge, so that kind of helps with the build-up. In general, her SP charging speed is also pretty good, so like what I said, you know, you gotta get that ultimate if you really want a lot of damage out of her. That might help, right? Also, she does have access to a technical skill right off the bat. It does not cost SP, and after using a technical skill, she will activate a 3-second global time fracture. And back to the topic of her QTE, she is time fracture activated, or rather time slow activated, and she is a fire type, so Book of Fusi is gonna be able to force her QTE out.
我会全力去面对每一场战斗。
Alright, so that's my general impression, and now I'm gonna answer why Durandal is my favorite Valkyrie, despite her lack of appearances. I feel like the lack of appearances is part of the reason I like her so much, because they've been building up this image of the strongest S-rank Valkyrie, and let me just use some anime comparisons, right? So if you watch One Piece, or if you watch Fairy Tail, you would know of characters like Gildarts or Shanks, and they don't appear often. Yet, they do have a fan base, and, you know, they just have to come out like once or twice and people are like, whoa, it's Gildarts, it's Shanks, and there are basically quite a few other characters in different anime that have that same kind of aura, despite not appearing often. And so, I would compare Durandal to that kind of a status, and so that's part of why I like the idea of a Valkyrie like that, or rather of a character like that. But another reason is because I used to read this manga called Claymore. So it's a really old manga, you could probably find it on the internet. They did have like a 24 episode anime as well, but that might not be necessary because I'm gonna explain the gist of Claymore's storyline. So it might take a while, but believe me, it's necessary for you guys to understand why I like Durandal so much. So the setting of Claymore, like the timeline it's in, is basically in maybe around the 1400s, if you want me to do a rough gauge. And if you want to compare it to Honkai's timeline, it would be at the age where Cullen was alive. So, you know, imagine that kind of a setting, right? Not like a lot of technology around. It's kind of like the olden days. And these Claymore would be hired to go out and kill demons, basically, which are called Yoma. So what the Claymore... Alright, so now I'm talking about the Claymore, the characters, right? These Claymore are girls who have been infused with Yoma powers. So, you know, as I'm explaining it, you might find it really similar to how Honkai Impact is written. I strongly believe, and this is since way back when I first started playing Honkai Impact, I strongly believe that the writers have drawn a lot of inspiration from Claymore, but there's no way to confirm it. But anyway, so these girls, and they do explain why girls are chosen. And when I get to the reason, you'll be like, damn, that sounds like Honkai. But anyway, so these girls, they're infused with Yoma powers, but they can't tap too much into their powers. If they do, they will awaken the Yoma that they've been infused with, but they will also lose control of themselves, and essentially they will have to be executed as well. But basically, there are 46 of these Claymore in the organization, and they're given numbers relative to their power levels. So, you know, number 1 is the strongest, and number 46 is the weakest. And, you know, in the kind of like in the past of the current storyline that you read Claymore in, there was this number 1 Claymore, right? So there are like a number of number 1 Claymores throughout their history, but there was this one in particular, which was super strong. And you know what her name is? Theresa, right? So that was, yeah, when I first saw Theresa in Honkai Impact, I was like, really? Okay. Because, you know, Theresa was also played up to be like a super strong Valkyrie. I'm not saying she isn't, but she doesn't have that kind of anticipated strength that I associate with Durandal, but I still really like Theresa. You know, maybe it's because of her name, I don't know. But anyway, so back to Theresa of the Faint Smile. That's what they called the Theresa who is the Claymore in the manga Claymore. She was like the strongest number 1 in history. Like, really, nobody has ever come close to her power. There is a scene in Claymore where she fights number 2 to number 5 in a 1v4 battle, and she beats them with only 20% of her power. Now you might think it sounds extremely OP and she's like a Mary Sue in the manga, but they, you know, she did have a disciple, and they do explain like some of her techniques. So it's not just pure power, like she's brute forcing her way through the fight. She does have a lot of special techniques, and she's an extremely skilled warrior. And so it's all these qualities that I have been associating with Durandal. That is my general impression of who Durandal is in Honkai Impact. So whether or not she really is that character, or she is going to live up to the kind of perception or expectations that I have out of her, we are going to see really soon. Also, to the people at this point in time who have actually read Claymore, or maybe you're about to go read it, you know, please do go read it and come back to the comment section and tell me whether or not you agree with me thinking that Honkai did draw a lot of inspiration from Claymore. You know, I'm really excited to see whether or not people agree with me on that, because I've never really openly said this before. But yeah, it's something that's been on my mind ever since I started playing Honkai Impact. And since people wanted to know why I have such high expectations of Durandal, or why I just like the character so much despite her never being usable, you know, I thought I'd just go ahead and explain the whole thing so that you guys can see it from my perspective as well. And by the way, so just so you guys know, I do already know Durandal's true identity. I've known for a while now, but I'm just gonna let you guys go through the story and find out who she is. It might already be obvious at this point, and if you think you've guessed it out, and if you think you already have the right answer, please don't spoil it for people in the comments or in Discord or wherever. Just, you know, do the same thing and let people find out for themselves. So yeah, that is pretty much all I have for you guys on Durandal at the moment. And I have started streaming, so you'd probably be able to catch a stream a week, or maybe a stream every 2 weeks, depending on the content that we have at the moment. I'm not really gonna be streaming just for the sake of streaming, unless that's what you guys want. So if that is, then let me know in the comments down below. Also, I actually started streaming like right now because I want to prepare for Genshin Impact, which is coming out this year. If not, at least the beta version 2 is coming out this year. And one more thing I wanted to know, I did ask it in the stream, but on a video I might gather more answers. So do you think it's better to be streaming on YouTube, or should I actually have a Twitch account and stream on Twitch? Because I'm given to believe that there are different functions. So you guys let me know like which you think is better. If it's YouTube, I'm still gonna stick to YouTube. If it's Twitch though, I might stream there and then do what a lot of streamers do, which is cut out the stream highlights. Yeah, they'll cut out stream highlights and then they'll just do videos on YouTube, which are the highlights of the stream basically. So yeah, let me know in the comments. And by the way, this is a bug. It's not the actual length of her charge attack. I mean, not the actual duration. But yeah, it's really funny. You could just go on forever if you don't stop that. I mean, if it gets bugged. But anyway, I'm really new to streaming, so I just wanted to touch on that topic as much as I can on videos to get people's opinion. Like, I don't really know how to stream. Like, I think setting up a fixed schedule is actually good. Otherwise, I'm not too sure how people will find out, aside from like happening to be on YouTube at the same time as when I start streaming. So let me know how streamers usually announce stuff or let people know that they're streaming, or when they're streaming, or how long before the stream do they start announcing, so that I can start doing the same as well. And for the most part though, videos like that I will still be doing because I know what I'm doing, right? On stream, I'm probably gonna be like exploring stuff with you guys, so it's gonna be a little bit of a different experience. Of course, I could plan for some stuff to be done on stream, but there is a certain freedom of editing, especially stuff like the background music and, adding in effects when you're doing a video. Not that I have a lot in this video, but you guys get the point. So I do enjoy doing videos as well, but I am starting to enjoy doing streaming as well, and thank you to all of you who have shown up. And by the way, what you guys just saw on screen was not her passive ability. I just wanted to try that out because the description wasn't as clear as I hoped it would be. But, if you do an ultimate evasion, you can still activate the 5th basic attack sequence for Durandal. It's just you can only do it once. But if your evasion skill is up when you do the ultimate evasion, then can you play like, Striker Fulminata, where you do an evasion and attack, and evasion and attack for the next 4 seconds. So yeah, now that we've got that out of the way, back to streaming. So I will be streaming, usually it has been for the past 2 weeks, on Fridays around 9 p.m. GMT plus 8, which is 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'm following that time because that's usually, an hour before that is usually when we get the updates for the Chinese beta server. So as you guys can tell, the Chinese beta server the Chinese server and the Southeast Asian server follows GMT plus 8. And so I'm going to follow that time zone as well. In terms of timing, so it's easier for me to like match their timing basically. So yeah, if you guys want to know when you can catch a stream, that would be the time to look out for it on YouTube. And I'm thinking I'll do it every week, but for now maybe once every 2 weeks. So do keep a lookout, do feel free to join us, and if you guys want me to just stream for the sake of streaming, then we could do it every week. Just let me know in the comments. So I'm gonna leave you guys with the rest of the floors, and yeah, thank you for watching as always. This has been MG, and I'll see you guys soon.
机而动，一上一下，人上之光。到我了。伺机而动，走吧。五行相生，分时化运。到我了。胜负已分，逃不掉。伺机而动。后转。伺机而动，走吧。到我了。跟上我。一上一下，人上之光。正正的对决吧，状元觉悟。破转。小弟子胜负已分，逃不掉。跟上我。五行相生，分时化运。状元觉悟。肃清妖兽，以救神州苍生。走吧。到我了。伺机而动。五行相生，分时化运。合体了，正正的对决吧，逃不掉。伺机而动。 伺机而动。胜负已分，做好觉悟吧。伺机而动，一上一下，人上之光。伺机而动。逃不掉。早点结束这场战斗吧。伺机而动。五行相生，分时化运。一上一下，人上之光。到我了。伺机而动。任务完成，该去下一个地点了。